Hello, Lou.
Hey, Tren.
How are you today?
Not too shabby.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Anyway, here we
Yeah,
are.
here we go.
Very
Yeah,
good.
we talk about the negatives in it. It's not too shabby. Well, are you shabby or not?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. There we go. Yeah.
So we
Oh,
are the tarot dealers.
we are the tarot dealers.
Yes, and between us, we've got probably more than 50 years experience, haven't
Yeah,
we?
absolutely.
At reading the tarot, teaching the tarot.
Sharing the tarot,
Yeah,
loving the
yeah,
tarot,
exactly.
coming up with modalities, writing
Writing
books,
books.
having
Yeah,
podcasts, all
exactly.
kinds of stuff.
So, yeah, so if you'd like to ask any questions or or you want us to talk about something, just contact us.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Our email address is thetarotdealers@gmail.com, or you can contact us through Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube.
That's
So,
correct. You
yeah.
absolutely can. And we will get back to your question in our
Yeah.
next series.
Yes, we're coming to the end of
End
this
of this
series.
series very soon.
Yes.
And we're going to take a little break.
Yes, but we will be back.
We will be
Be
back.
back. Yes, so we're just gonna have because we've got other stuff going on.
We do so much stuff. So we're going to take a little break and then
Yeah.
come back at the start of a new
A new series. So
series.
look out for that. We will let you know in advance when we're coming back.
Absolutely, we
Yeah.
will. Absolutely. But today, what are we doing?
We are going to be talking about the Emperor, deep diving into the Emperor.
Deep dive into him. Let's go.
So we will pick a card first.
Of course.
We'll pick a card. What do we need to know for the episode? What is it that we need to keep in our focus or awareness? What do we need to know? They're sticking together. Again, must be the weather.
Must
Oh,
be.
there's two there. Oh, there's two there. And we have the magician and the chariot.
There you go.
So we're using the rider waite for this, for the magician and the chariot. So
What do you make of that?
it looks like we're going on a bit of a journey with this emperor. I've got to concentrate on the chariot at the moment. It just sort of feels like, yes, we're going to go on a journey, but there's going to be various elements that we're going to learn about that maybe have not, either of us haven't known about it before.
Okay.
There's some
Some new
unknown.
information.
Yeah, yeah.
New
And it sort
information.
of feels like I'm just looking at the chariot, and I always look at the curtain up here, and it does sort of feel like that sometimes, and because we're talking about the emperor, sometimes I think the emperor can put on a bit of a show.
Yeah.
You know. And with the magician, it's like, well, yeah, what are we bringing into being? What are we sharing? What is new, especially with the journey we're going to take you on, or what? Yes, we're going to take you on a journey, but it's also what are we learning? What's Lou and I going to learn? You know, and what can we
Mm.
bring in to our reality that we were maybe unaware of before?
What can you bring into the reality? I like that.
Yes.
I like that very much. Okay.
So
Shall we
we'll
start?
get back into the emperor now.
We will.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to start the Rider Waite.
Yes.
Okay. So the Rider Waite here, he sits on this throne. Now, the words that come to mind when we look at the emperor. We've got power, authority, the masculine. He represents the zodiac sign Aries, right? Uh, Government, man in uniform, a leader, someone who runs their own business, maybe. Father and
Mm.
control. Just a few words.
Just a few,
Just
there's
a few
power
words.
behind it. There's
Power,
power behind it.
yeah, a lot of power behind this. Um, So a person, or when this card shows up, it might be about the person owning their own values in a
Mm.
system, right? So do they maybe they are running the business and they're looking at their values in all of that, and do they
Mm.
own that system themselves, or they borrowed it from someone
Yeah.
else, right? So that kind of thing. Because it's this card is very much about doing things your own way. And you think about Aries, they're very much I, right?
Yes.
And they're the leading
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
So it's very much about that doing it the own way. Energy, the energy of my own path. The card itself carries energy of to act and to do. So it's an action card. It's very fiery. When you think
Very
about
fiery.
the wands are
Yeah.
about action, right? And they represent the element of fire. So that's what
Mm.
this is here. So when we see this card too, you also might be being asked to step up and be the adult, right? And take responsibility, right? That's what that is. So some questions to ask when we're working with the Emperor are like, what is authority to me?
Mm.
Yeah, what is authority to me? How do I connect to my masculine energy? Right?
Mm.
What positions of power do I hold in my life?
No, yeah, because that's a lot of times we sort of give those positions away.
We do,
What
don't
do we
we? A
need to
lot of
bring back?
times,
Yeah,
yeah. So
or
about that.
recognize.
Exactly. Now, am I leading or am I ordering?
Oh, that's two
It's
different things,
another
aren't they?
question. Yeah, right. So the card can also represent an older man or someone who's a little bit wiser.
Bit wiser, yeah.
Now, the color of his clothes, as Tren said before, very much about strength and authority, right? Um, Aries is represented by the rams on this particular card. You see those two rams?
Top. Oh, actually,
They're
on
up
the
the
top,
top
and
here,
they're
and they're
also down.
also here.
Yeah,
So that's what lets us know that it's Aries. Now the orb that he holds, which is like the ball, right here, that is about his kingdom, right? And the ankh that he has can represent like his life.
yeah.
So together, it's about having authority over those both sides of his life. So it creates balance, right? That's what that can be. The mountains, I'm like, where the fuck's the mountains? They're right beside him here, a little bit jagged. One's orange, one's yellow. And that actually speaks into his achievements and seeing things from a higher perspective. I see here though that they're not like right up here to his mind. So he will very clearly, with his head, think and see clearly what obstacles, what mountains, what growth he's had and still sit above that.
Above that.
Right. So he still sees above that. He sees like this bigger picture, right? That's what I get from that. The throne that is made of stone in this case, right, speaks about strong foundations. So this fella has strong foundations. Now there is hard to see, but on this card, that's the water.
Oh, behind the throne.
Behind the thrones. It's like this little creek. Now it's small amount. So it lets you know though that this guy's not emotionless. He does have some emotion, but it's not a lot, right? So he's not ruled by his emotions.
He's very logical, isn't he? Very rational.
Yeah. He's definitely not ruled by his emotions, but he can, if he chooses to, rule with compassion and certainty. That's the emperor.
That's for him.
That's for him, right? So from a timing point of view, he can speak to the fourth month or he can speak into the time of Aries. Definitely in terms of that. Often he'll show when people are asking about jobs and what kind of energy they need to bring because he's very much in control. Like he's a doer and he likes to get stuff done, definitely. What have you got about
I just thought with his suit of armor, it's like he's been through the wars.
Oh yeah,
He's been through the battles,
armored, isn't he?
He's worked his way up to where he is, and he's gained a lot of knowledge along the way. And with the red robes, he's passionate about what he does.
And he's sitting on
And
it,
he's
right?
sitting
So
on
it's
it.
driving him.
Yeah.
It's his he's
It's not ambition, but it's like that.
rooted in it.
It's
Because that's his space chakra, right?
it can be rooted in it.
And our base chakra is red, right?
Yeah.
So he will go to basics and he will make sure all of that is covered. So
yes. So I'm just going to look at
the armor, the armor. He's definitely protected.
Quite often I go to the armor. It's like, he's letting you know that he has got his battle scars. He has, they're covered and he's protecting himself, but he has got scars.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I thought, oh, something you said about your question. What is authority to me? And I went, oh shit. Because that could bring up quite a bit,
It could. It could bring up
especially
quite a lot.
if you know this if this card comes out and you're talking about authority, just if you've got a client in front of you, just watch their body language because that might be a bit of a trigger. You know, how they see authority. Maybe they don't like authority or can't cope with authority. If this is
Maybe
taking
they've been with authority that has simply been ordering rather than leading.
rather
So
than
there's a big
needing,
difference between,
yes,
whether you're managing or you're leading, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
of course, managing comes in two different contexts, but in the form of or in terms
yeah,
with being a manager
yeah,
or being a leader, like what are you
yeah,
actually dealing with here? And that's what I feel like the Empress can also be about, right?
yeah.
And he can
Mm.
be a bit hard on himself sometimes too,
Yes,
right?
I always think he can be hard on himself. So
Yeah,
in turn, he's hard on you.
yeah,
You know,
can be
you can, but you know,
absolutely.
it's like Lou was saying, whether you're ordering or leading, how are you going to do this? You know, because even his body language, it's quite commanding.
Very,
It's very
hey,
commanding. You're not going to
on the right
cross it
weight
on the
deck.
right of way. If we look at, I'm just going to pull this one out. If we look at the light seers, it's completely different body language. He's more relaxed. There's still strength with him.
Yeah,
There's
colours are the
still
same.
still there's a lot of strength. But on the right, on the light seers, I see him more strategic. He's still got his commanding presence. He's still got his structure and discipline and control. But there's with that chess piece that he's holding, he's more strategic in how he moves forward.
Yeah, where
That's
he
how
makes
it's
his move,
yeah,
where and when he makes his move.
yeah,
It's almost like that on the Lightseer's deck, which Trent will take a photo
yeah.
of. It's you'll see this like beam of light that's sort of coming
Coming down, yeah, coming
from the
from it,
universe.
yeah,
So
coming
it's
down through there.
like he's truly guided by
Well,
what he sees is best
yeah,
and how like connected to source,
yes,
before he makes his move,
yes,
So
yeah,
that's what I like about that. Connecting into the higher power
higher power.
to make that move.
Yes.
That's how I see that.
And it's very much with the rider way. He's watching, he's looking front and center, looking at you. Whereas in the light seers, he's looking off in the distance. So it's like, what's my next move? What
Yeah.
is my next move? You know? So just looking what else. The armor represents strength and protection, readiness for battle. That's what
Yeah, ready for battle. Yeah,
ready for
yeah,
battle.
yeah.
Uh, the red robes emphasize his passion and decisive nature. He's a quick one to make decisions, I think, because he's already 3 steps ahead.
Well, I think when you're in charge of something, you actually
You
need
have,
to be able to make
yeah,
decisions
yeah,
quickly, based
yeah,
on whatever comes up in front of you. And like you
exactly.
say, he's a bit of a strategist.
Yes, you
So he
know,
would be thinking along
yeah,
those
like I said,
lines.
his moves are three moves ahead
Yeah.
of where he is at the moment. He's already got his 3 moves sorted.
Yeah, ready to go,
Yeah, ready to
hasn't he?
go. So, and it's interesting. I found this on, it's a funny website. It's called How Stuff Works, and it's all sciencey. But they're talking about the tarot and they're talking about combinations.
Okay.
So the Emperor and the Hierophant,
Oh,
which is a strange combination. But if they turn up in your reading, just
mhm.
think it's all about the structure, order, the order, and the guidance and spiritual growth, which is not something I would have put with the Emperor, but anyway, um, self-discovery. And it's also about additional education. So more
Yeah,
learning,
yeah.
and the importance of authority, tradition, and leadership. Exactly what you just said. Now, it's funny because the chariot came out. If we have the emperor and the chariot, it's dynamic and orientated individual who knows their objectives, exactly what we've been saying, and has the commitment and ambition to achieve them.
He got the
They've
drive
got the
too,
drive,
doesn't he?
very
Yeah,
much got
because
the
think about
drive.
the chariot, that's the
Yeah.
drive, yeah.
This combination can help you tap into your inner strength, determination, and leadership qualities. So it's very much about sometimes we have these qualities, but we don't use them. So how about we tap into them when these two show up? You
It's very
know?
true.
Yeah.
Lots of people have these qualities and just for
Yeah.
whatever reason have this self-doubt. And yet
Self-doubt. Yeah.
when they're allowed to drive in the direction that drives their passion,
Yes.
they very much
Very
show,
much show
don't they?
exactly what they're made of, aren't they?
Mm.
Yeah. And if
And
you
what they can
go,
do.
what they can do. The Emperor and the Tower. Now,
Oh,
this is an
what's this
interesting
one
one.
say?
The plans and strategies may be tested.
Maybe blown fucking
Maybe
sky
blown
high
up.
too. Yeah.
And the basis of our lives may be disrupted just slightly.
That's hilarious.
And can lead to upheaval and transformation. Because when we have upheaval, something wasn't working.
Yeah, that's right.
So we've got to transform into it and challenging us to adapt and grow with this new situation or this new feelings or whatever. And it's also prepare for challenges and develop resilience needed to overcome them.
Yeah, resilience is a thing, eh?
Yeah, it's a big
Like,
thing.
and we need that, I
Yeah.
feel, to be able to navigate those kind of situations and just life in fucking general, you know?
Yes, because otherwise, and I think you talked about in the previous episode, it's like if we don't challenge ourselves and move forward, we're stagnant. We stay still
Yeah.
and become stagnant.
Yeah. And no growth. Like
Yeah.
just I don't know, I just feel like it kind of makes your life small. You know,
Yeah.
things become small, you don't grow. You know, people around you who are enabling you to stay that way. I think that's pretty sad too,
Yeah.
because it's technically a form of control
Well, it is, isn't it?
when people do that,
Do
even though they
that.
may not realize that, right?
You think they're helping,
Yeah, but they're
but they're
not.
not.
That's them controlling their feelings
Yes.
about
What the situation
what
or
the
where you
situation is
are.
or where you're
Yeah.
headed or
Yeah.
what it means to them. So looking at all of their triggers. So the
Yeah.
emperor can represent all of these things or
Exactly.
all of these situations,
Yes.
which is a lot,
It's a
right?
lot.
And I'm just going to share the dragon
Yes.
tarot because it's kind of a different feel again.
Yeah.
So here he is, right? The emperor here on the dragon tarot. We see this like city or this big castle just behind the water there. So still showing that there's this water here, but the dragon sits behind it, and it's almost like he's got his wings up and he's overshadowing that. So is he protecting it?
Or is he threatening us?
Is he threatening it? Right? Is he going to knock that down and start again? And I feel that the key to this dragon tarot is in the reflection piece here. So is he looking in and reflecting in that emotion, or is he not? Because what's interesting about the dragon tarot is there's no red, orange, yellow colors on here, which typically
Which if you look at
is what's associated.
the Rider Waite, the light seers are those reds and oranges,
Yeah,
aren't
because
they?
that's what's associated with the emperor.
The Emperor.
But here it's not. So
it's a cool,
perfect example of how the cards can be different
yeah,
and
but it's
give a
got a
different
completely
meaning.
different feel to it, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it does.
Sort of you're looking at it, oh yeah, it's quite cool, and straight away you're going to protection, but is it?
Yeah, I
Is it
think
a,
I think it's a card that poses a lot of the questions around the emperor. Like we asked, am I, leading or am I ordering?
Yes. Am I controlling?
Am I controlling? Yeah, because this emperor can be all about control,
Yes,
right?
yes, very much.
How you're controlling a situation, or maybe how you're being
controlled.
controlled, which is where you're being allowed to continue to enable. It's almost like you're allowed to stay the victim. And if you're going to stay the victim, then you're not going to
You're
grow.
not going to grow.
You're not going to expand. Like there's a lot in that. And that story gets really fucking boring after a while. And there may be circumstances where people are the victim of their circumstance, so to speak, but it's all about the mindset and how you deal with that. And I feel like the emperor is very much about like find that passion, find that thing that lights you up, and get back to that. Be thinking about in 10 years' time, where does this behavior serve me?
Exactly.
And am I going to want to still be there?
Yeah.
And maybe you're comfortable there and that's your business. That's fine. Stay there. But maybe you're not.
Maybe you're
Because in
not.
10 years' time, that might look a whole lot different.
Exactly.
You might have lost a whole lot of skills while you've been wallowing in that stuff.
Well, yeah, basically, isn't it? Or isolating yourself.
Isolating yourself. That's the thing, right? So I don't know about you, but I don't want to be isolated.
No, not at all.
I don't want to be isolated.
So
I don't want to be a control freak either.
no. So find your passion. find
Yeah, and
compassion.
find that balance, right? Because he talks about the balance
He does.
between, his life and his world,
World.
right?
Yeah,
So finding the balance between those two,
exactly.
that's power,
Exactly. Yeah.
you
And
know?
then quite literally call your power back.
Absolutely.
You be the authority of you. Talking about the emperor, be your authority. You're the
Yeah,
one.
be your own authority,
Your
right?
own
And I
authority.
like that where you've said call your power back. So
Yeah.
you can call your power back from all the time, spaces, timeline,
Yeah.
dimensions, all the places that you left it, right?
Yeah.
And call it back and sit center ground.
Exactly.
Sit center ground. How can I be the leader in my own life?
Exactly.
Where do I need to step up, step back? All of those things. What's my bigger vision here?
Exactly. Yeah. So, and ask yourself some questions like Lou just did.
Absolutely. Ask yourself some
Question-
serious
Yeah.
fucking questions. Like, yeah,
Exactly.
that's what I would say.
Yes. So, thank you for listening to the Emperor.
Yes. Thank you for listening to the Emperor.
For watching the Emperor. Forget about the YouTube. So, and like we said, we're coming to the end of this series.
We are.
So, but just again, thank you very much for watching, listening, supporting us.
Yeah, sharing, subscribing.
Yes,
We love
with
you.
things. So, and again, if you want to know anything more, or have you got questions or subjects you want covered, let us know.
Cover that in the next
In the
series.
next series, we'll get back
Absolutely.
to it.
We will. So from our heart to yours, big love.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.